Okay, welcome in one and all. I did not have a chance to recap my Saturday matchup, so I will be covering the Saturday games and Sunday games on this upload as we speak. So the first matchup takes place between two original six franchises in the Montreal Canadiens and the Boston Bruins, as you can see on your screen. The final score on this one would be 5-2 in favor of the Bruins. Charlie McAvoy would kick things off in the first period, 7 minutes and 11 seconds into that frame. A power play goal from Marchand and Pastrnak. Frederick would then increase the lead to 2-0 with 40 seconds remaining in that period. His fourth goal of the season from Carlo and Charlie Coyle. So it was 2-0 in favor of the Bruins heading into the second period. Zaka would then make it 3-0 5 minutes and 18 seconds into that frame. His sixth goal of the season, an even strength goal, assisted by Lindholm and Pastrnak. Slavkovsky would finally get the Habs on the board with just under 7 minutes remaining in that frame. His second goal of the season, an even strength goal from Suzuki and Newhook. And then Frederick would then get his second goal of the game, his fifth of the season, an even strength goal with 4.5 minutes to go, assisted by Coyle and DeBrusque. So it was 4-1 in favor of the Bruins heading into the third period. Van Riemsdyk would then get his fifth goal of the season, 5 minutes and 39 seconds into the third period, a power play goal from Marchand and Pastrnak. Kovacevic would then get the Habs their second goal of the game and his second goal of the season, an even strength goal from Dvorak and Slavkovsky. That happened with about 4.5 minutes remaining, and that is where we would stand at the end of the game. So with the loss, the Habs are now 2 games below 500, sitting at 7-9-2. And with the victory, the Bruins are red hot, still atop of that Atlantic Division, sitting at 13-1-2. The next matchup takes place in Sweden, where we have 4 teams that went overseas to play some regular season games. So the first one here has the Ottawa Senators. They were taking on the Minnesota Wild. Actually, the teams should be reversed. So Ottawa was technically the home team. Hold on a second. And Minnesota was the away team. So even though neither team was in their home arena, the Senators were the home team in the matchup. A very low-scoring affair. 2-1 would be the final. It would take into a shootout to decide a winner. The Senators would prevail and get the victory. So there were no goals in the first. It would take until the second for things to open up, where Rossi would get his sixth goal of the season, an even strength goal from Faber and Zuccarello, 6 minutes and 22 seconds into that frame. There were no other goals the rest of the period, so it was 1-0 in favor of the Wild heading into the third period. Bramstrom would get his first goal of the season, 3 minutes and 22 seconds into that frame, assisted by Forsberg and Hamonic, so it was all tied up at 1 at that point. There were no goals to report in overtime. It would take until a shootout to decide a winner, where Josh Norris would get the game-winning goal, and so therefore 2-1 would be the final score. With the victory, the Senators are now 1 game above 500, sitting at 8-7-0, and with the loss, the Wild are now 3 games below 500, sitting at 5-8-3. Our next matchup takes place in Philadelphia, where we have the Philadelphia Flyers, and they were playing host to the Vegas Golden Knights. You should see the teams in view as we speak. The final score on this one would be 4-3 in favor of the Flyers. It would take until overtime to decide a winner, so therefore both teams were guaranteed a point. The Flyers ultimately won, so therefore they got the extra point as well. Owen Tippett would kick things off in the first, getting his 7th goal of the season, a power play goal from Sanheim and Atkinson, and that happened with about 4.5 minutes remaining in the first, so it was 1-0 in favor of the Flyers heading into the second period. Forster would get his first goal for the Flyers just a minute into the second period, a power play goal from Sanheim and Tippett, so it was 2-0 in favor of the Flyers at that point. William Karlsson would then decrease the lead to 2-1, getting his 9th goal of the season, an even strength goal, 4 minutes and 1 second into the frame, assisted by Jonathan Marchessault. Speaking of Marchessault, he would then tie things up with exactly 5 minutes to go in that frame, an even strength goal from Shea Theodore and Jack Eichel. Walker would then give the Flyers a 3-2 lead 25 seconds later, An even strength goal from Sealer and Couturier. That would be his third goal of the season. Marchessault, once again, would tie things up with 55 seconds remaining in that frame. A power play goal from Stone and Theodore. So it was all tied up at 3 at that point. There were no goals scored in the third period, and it would take until overtime where Sean Couturier, welcome back Sean, after he missed all of last season and part of the 2021-2022 campaign, getting the game-winning goal exactly a minute into the frame, his fourth goal of the season. With the victory, the Flyers are now 2 games above 500, sitting at 9-7-1. And despite losing, Vegas, they're still unbelievable. 13-3-2 is where they sit at the end of this game. Our next matchup takes place in Nashville, where we have the host team and the Predators, and they were taking on the Chicago Blackhawks. The final in this one would be 4-2 in favor of the Predators. Trennan would get his first goal of the year for the Predators, 12 minutes and 7 seconds into the first, assisted by Colton Sissons. Nyquist would then increase the lead to 2-0 with a minute and a half remaining. His second goal of the season, a power play goal, assisted by Ryan O'Reilly and Philip Forsberg. So it's 2-0 in favor of Nashville after 1. Kurashev would then get the Blackhawks on the board just under 7 minutes to go in that period. His third goal of the season, assisted by Bedard and Seth Jones, an even strength goal. Smith would then increase the lead to 3-1 for the Predators, getting his third goal of the season, an even strength goal from Tomasino, if I'm pronouncing that name correctly, and Michael McCarron with 3 minutes and 40 seconds remaining in the second period. So it's 3-1 in favor of Nashville after 2. Tyler Johnson would get his fifth goal of the season, decreasing the lead to 3-2 with just under 8 minutes to go in that frame. An even strength goal from Jason Dickinson. And then Smith would get his second goal of the game, his fourth of the season, with just 12 seconds remaining, an empty netter, assisted by Trennan and Fabro. So final score is 4-2 in favor of Nashville. With that, the Predators are 4 games below 500, 6-10-0 is where they stand. And with the loss, the Blackhawks are 5 games below 500, sitting at 5-10-0. Our next matchup takes place in Tampa Bay, where we have the host team and the Lightning, and they were taking on the Edmonton Oilers. So the final score in this one, it'd be a high-scoring affair. 6-4 would be the final score in favor of the Blue Shirts. Derek Ryan would kick things off in the first 3 minutes and 39 seconds into that frame. His first goal of the season from Nugent Hopkins and Ceci, a short-handed goal. Hamblin would then get his first NHL career goal. 8 minutes and 31 seconds into the first. There were no assists on his score. Kucherov would then get the Lightning on the board, making it 2-1 with 51 seconds remaining in that period. A power play goal from Stamkos and Braden Point. So it's 2-1 in favor of the Oilers after the first period. Kucherov would then get his second goal of the game, his 13th of the season, even strength goal, with just over 7 minutes to go in that period from Sergachev and Radish. Derek Ryan would then get his second goal of the game with just over 4 minutes remaining in that frame from Foegele and Ekholm. So it's 3-2 in favor of the Oilers heading into the third period. Tanner Janot would then get his third goal of the season. An even strength goal from Asimov and Sergachev with just over 14 minutes to go and just over 16 minutes to go in the game. Eric Bouchard would then give the Oilers a 4-3 lead, his fourth goal of the season, making it 4-3, assisted by Nugent Hopkins, 8 minutes and 4 seconds into that frame. Stamkos would then get his sixth goal of the season, assisted by Kucherov and Braden Point on a power play, 9.5 minutes into that period, so it was all tied up at 4 at that point. Luke Glendening would then get his second goal of the year, an even strength goal from Kopke and Radish, just over halfway through that third period. And then Sergachev would score with 55 seconds remaining, his second goal of the season, assisted by Nick Paul. It was an empty netter. So 6-4 is where we sit at the end of that game. With the victory, the Lightning are sitting at 8-6-4. And with the loss, the Oilers are still 5 games below 500, sitting at 5-10-1. We are now off to Carolina, where we have the Hurricanes, and they were playing host against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So take a look. As soon as I get the teams on the screen, we'll take a look at who won and the goal scoring summary from that game. So 4-2 would be the final score in favor of the Hurricanes. Crosby would kick things off in the first 10 minutes and 40 seconds into that frame, his 11th goal of the season, an even goal, assisted by Gensel and Erik Karlsson, so it was 1-0 in favor of the Pens after the first. Just one goal to report in the second. Sebastian Aho would get his 5th goal of the season, an even strength one at that, assisted by Teravainen and Jarvis, so it was all tied up at 1 heading into the third period. Brett Burns would give the Hurricanes their first lead of the game, his 4th goal of the season, an even strength one, assisted by Slavin and Svechnikov, 2 minutes and 46 seconds into the third. Crosby would then tie things up at 2, his 12th of the season, 9 minutes and 16 seconds into that frame, assisted by Letang and Brian Rust. Seth Jarvis would then give the Hurricanes yet another lead, 3-2 at this point, his 6th goal of the season, an even strength one at that, assisted by Slavin and Brett Burns, and that goal happened with just over 8 minutes remaining in the period. Then Seth Jarvis would then get his 2nd goal of the game, power play goal, his 7th of the season, assisted by Aho and Teravainen. So 4-2 is the final score from there. With the victory, the Hurricanes are now 3 games above 500, sitting at 10-7-0. And with the loss, the Pittsburgh Penguins are back to 500, sitting at 8-8-0. Our next matchup takes place in Calgary, where we have the host team and the Flames, and they were taking on the New York Islanders. So, fairly high-scoring affair. 5-4 would be the final in this one. It would take until a shootout to decide a winner, so therefore both teams were guaranteed a point. The Islanders obviously got the 2nd point because they won the game. So in the first, Pospisil, wow, try saying that name five times fast, would get his 3rd goal of the year to kick things off, 12 minutes and 16 seconds into the first, an even strength goal from Kadri and Zary. Fasching would then get the first goal for the Islanders of the game and his first goal of the season, assisted by Clutterbuck and Nelson, and that goal would happen with just over 3 minutes remaining in the first. So it was all tied up at 1 heading into the second period. Palmieri would then give the Islanders a 2-1 lead 4 minutes and 7 seconds into the second, a power play goal, his 4th of the season from Horvat and Dobson. Barzal would then get his 4th goal of the season as well, 8 minutes and 7 seconds into that frame. There were no assists on his goal. Blake Coleman would then decrease the lead to 3-2, getting his 5th goal of the season, an even strength goal with just under 3 minutes remaining in that period, assisted by DeSimone and Jonathan Huberdeau. So it's 3-2 in favor of the Islanders heading into the third period. Mackenzie Weegar would then get his 4th goal of the season, tying things up 3 minutes and 12 seconds into the third. An even strength goal from Zary and Kadri. Brock Nelson would then get his 8th goal of the year, giving the Islanders a 4-3 lead just 20 seconds after Weegar scored. An even strength goal from Engvall and Sebastian Aho. Not Sebastian Aho. Yeah, it is. I forgot there's 2 Sebastian Ahos, but they're not related. Then Sharon Govich would then tie things up just over 6 minutes remaining in that frame, assisted by Noah Hannafin and Elias Lindholm. So it's all tied up at 4 heading into the extra frame. No one scored in the overtime. It would take until a shootout to decide a winner, where Wallstrom would end it in the shootout for the Islanders. So with the victory, the Islanders are now back to 500, sitting at 6-6-5. And with the loss, the Flames are 2 games below 500, sitting at 6-8-3. Our next matchup takes place in New Jersey, where we have the host New Jersey Devils, and they are playing against the best team in the Metropolitan, and that is the New York Rangers. The final score in this matchup would be 5-3 in favor of the away team, so therefore the Rangers are still red hot. In the first, Panarin would kick things off on a power play, 8 minutes and 37 seconds into the frame. His 9th goal of the season, assisted by Trocheck and Gustafsson. Jack Hughes, welcome back, first of all. His 6th goal of the season, 9 minutes 25 seconds into that frame, would tie things up. An even strength goal from Hamilton and Signator? Oh my gosh. Hopefully his name's not on this scoring sheet too much, or else I'm going to struggle with that. VC would then give the Rangers a 2-1 lead with just under 6 minutes to go in that frame, his second of the season, an even strength goal, assisted by Schneider and Jones. Palat would get his first goal of the year on a power play with just under 50 seconds remaining, assisted by Bratt and Toffoli, so it was all tied up at 2 heading into the third period. Eric Holla would then give the Devils a lead 3-2, his sixth goal of the season, a minute and 17 seconds into the period, assisted by Jack Hughes and Dougie Hamilton. Then Panarin would then tie things up with just under 9 minutes remaining in that frame, as even strength goal from Trocheck, so it was all tied up at 3. VC would then get the go-ahead goal, his third goal of the game, with just under 3 minutes to go in that frame, an even strength goal from Pitlick and Trocheck. And then Blake Wheeler would ice the game with just a minute and 33 seconds to go. His second goal of the year. There were no assists on his goal. So 5-3 is where we sit at the end of that. With the victory, the Rangers are now 12-2-1. Again, outstanding. And with the loss, the Devils are 8-7-1. Our next matchup takes place in Winnipeg, where we have the Jets, and they were playing hosts against the Arizona Coyotes. Okay, you should see the teams on your screen as we speak. So the final score in this one would be 5-2 in favor of the Jets. Michelli would kick things off, just over 5 minutes remaining in that first, an even strength goal, his third of the season from Mosser and Kerfoot. Scheifele would then tie things up with just under 3 minutes to go in that period, his sixth goal of the season, assisted by Pionk and Dillon. And then Namestnikov would get his second goal of the season with just under 2 minutes to go in that frame, an even strength goal from Morrissey. So it was 2-1 in favor of the Jets after the first period. Matt Dumba would tie things up, getting his second goal of the season, just over 6 minutes into that frame, assisted by Boyd and Schmaltz, an even strength goal. Kyle Connor, who's been red hot, 14th goal of the season, giving the Jets a 3-2 lead with about 9.5 minutes to go in that frame, assisted by Scheifele and Dillon. So it's 3-2 in favor of the Jets after 2 periods. Josh Morrissey would then get his second goal of the season, 4 minutes and 15 seconds into the third, an even strength goal from Scheifele and Kyle Connor. And then Mason Appleton would get his sixth goal of the year, an even strength goal with 2.5 minutes to go, assisted by Niederreiter and Adam Lowry. So 5-2 is where we sit at the end of this one. With the victory, the Jets are now 5 games above 500, sitting at 10-5-2. And with the loss, the Coyotes are just 1 game above 500, sitting at 8-7-2. The next matchup takes place in Washington, where we have the Capitals, and they were taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. The final score on this one would be 4-3 in regulation for the Washington Capitals. There were no goals to speak of in the first. It would take until the second for things to open up. Johnny Gaudreau would get his second goal of the season, 3 minutes and 27 seconds into the second frame, assisted by Boone Jenner and Severson. Milano would then tie things up, getting his third goal of the year, 5 minutes and 5 seconds into the second, assisted by Protas and Lapierre. Speaking of Protas, he would then give the Capitals a 2-1 lead, his second goal of the season, 13 minutes and 16 seconds into that frame, assisted by Van Riemsdyk and Lapierre. And then Ovechkin would get his fifth goal of the season with just over 4 minutes to go in that frame, assisted by Dylan Strome. So it's 3-1 in favor of the Capitals heading into the third period. Provorov would get his first goal as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets, 7 minutes and 1 second into that third period, assisted by Sillinger. Lapierre would then get his first goal as a member of the Washington Capitals, assisted by Milano and Protas. 13 minutes and 34 seconds was the time of that goal, and even strength one at that. Danforth would then keep the game close, getting the Jackets their third goal of the game, his fifth of the season, and even strength one from Kuraly and Werenski with just over 4 minutes remaining in that period. But unfortunately, they were not able to mount a comeback. So with the victory, the Capitals are now sitting at 9-4-2. And with the loss, the Blue Jackets are sitting at 4-10-4. The next matchup takes place in Dallas, where we have the host Stars, and they were taking on the Colorado Avalanche. So two of the better teams in the Central Division, in my opinion. So the final score in this one would be 6-3 in favor of Colorado. Tyler Seguin will kick things off in the first, getting his fourth goal of the season, 10 minutes and 33 seconds into that frame. An even strength goal from Marchment and Matt Duchesne. Pavelski would then increase the lead to 2-0 with about 5 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. His seventh goal of the season, assisted by Ben and Robertson. So it was 2-0 for the Stars heading into the second period. Tyler Seguin would then get his second goal of the game, his fifth of the season, 2 minutes and 12 seconds into the second period, assisted by Marchment and Lindell. After this, it would be all Colorado. Miles Wood would get his third goal of the season, 13 minutes and 27 seconds into that frame. An even strength goal from Colton and Makar. Ryan Johansson would then get his sixth goal of the season, with just under 3 minutes to go in that period. A power play marker from Makar and Rantanen, so it's 3-2 for the Stars heading into the third period. Nichushkin would get his sixth goal of the season, 4 minutes and 19 seconds into the third to tie things up. Rantanen would then get his 11th goal of the year with just about 5.5 minutes to go in that frame. An even strength goal from Taves and Nichushkin. Cogliano would then get his second goal of the year, literally 11 seconds after Rantanen scored, assisted by Kiviranta and Sam Girard. And then Ross Colton would ice the game with 30 seconds to go, getting his sixth goal of the season, assisted by Cale Makar. So with the victory, the Avalanche are now sitting at 11-5-0, and with the loss, the Stars are still 11-4-1. So they can afford a loss or two. Both these teams are 1-2 respectively in that Central Division. Next matchup takes place in Vancouver, where we have the Vancouver Canucks, I should say. They're playing host to the Seattle Kraken. So two teams in the Pacific took to the ice in BC. So the final score on this one would be 4-3 in favor of Seattle. Who would have guessed after the Canucks have been off to such a hot start that the Kraken would be the one to get the victory over the team? So JT Miller would kick things off 5 minutes and 34 seconds into the first, getting his 11th goal of the season from Myers and DiGiuseppe. It was 1-0 in favor of the Canucks heading into the second period. Olesiak would then tie things up, getting his first goal of the season, assisted by Beniers and Eberle, an even strength goal, 5 minutes and 43 seconds into the second period. Speaking of Eberle, he would then give the Kraken a 2-1 lead, just under 7 minutes to go in that frame, an even strength goal from Bjorkstrand and Schultz. Quinn Hughes would then tie things up with just over 4 minutes to go in that frame, his seventh goal of the season, assisted by Hronek and Pettersson. So it's all tied up at 2 heading into the third period. Yanni Gourde would then give the Kraken a 3-2 lead, 4 minutes and 19 seconds into the third, his third goal of the season, assisted by Borgen and Tolvanen. That was an even strength goal. Matt Beniers would get his third goal of the season, 6 minutes and 48 seconds into that frame, assisted by Jordan Eberle. So it was 4-2 at that point in favor of the Kraken. Höglander would then give the Canucks a third goal of the game, but unfortunately there was only 11 seconds remaining in the game, so it was too little too late. His fifth goal of the season from Myers and Mikheyev. So 4-3 is the final from Vancouver. With the victory, the Kraken are now one game below 500, sitting at 7-8-4. And with the loss, the Canucks are still 7 games above 500, sitting at 12-5-1. And the last game takes place, for Saturday at least, takes place in Los Angeles, where we have the Kings, and they're taking on the St. Louis Blues. The Kings would prevail in this one, a final score of 5-1. Byfield would kick things off in the first, getting his third goal of the season, 2 minutes and 25 seconds into that frame on a power play, assisted by Kopitar and Kempe. Lizotte would then get his fourth goal of the season. Less than 20 seconds after Byfield scored, there were no assists on his goal, 2-0 at that point in favor of the Kings. Kempe would then get his 8th goal of the season, increasing the lead to 3-0. A short-handed goal, 13 minutes and 37 seconds into that frame. And then Pierre-Luc Dubois would then get his 5th goal of the season with just under 5 minutes to go in that frame, assisted by Kaliev and Spence, an even strength goal at that. So it's 4-0 in favor of the Kings after the first. Just the 1 goal to report in the second. Fiala would get his 4th goal of the season with 24 seconds remaining in that period. An even strength goal from Philippe Deneau and Drew Doughty. So it's 5-0 for the Kings heading into the third. Neighbors would finally get the Blues on the board, getting his 3rd goal of the season with just under 4 minutes in that frame. An even strength goal from Blaze and Letty. So 5-1 is where we sit at the final buzzer. With the victory, the Kings are now sitting at 10-3-3. And with the loss, the Blues are now just 1 game above 500, sitting at 8-7-1. So that takes care of all the action from Saturday night. Now I'll see if I can get the... Now I'll see if I can cover the last 5 games in the less than 7 minutes, because at the 33-minute mark, this video will automatically stop. So I'll see if I can get through the 5 games that took place on Sunday. So the first one took place in Sweden. This was the last game that the 4 teams that went over there were to play. So the Minnesota Wild were the home team in this one, taking on the Toronto Maple Leafs. It would take until overtime to decide a winner, and the Leafs would come away on top of this. 4-3 would be the final score. In the first period, Merrill would get his full season, 2 minutes and 37 seconds into that frame, an even strength goal from Rossi and Zuccarello. Matthews would then tie things up, getting his 14th goal of the season on the power play, 12 minutes and 43 seconds into that frame, assisted by Nylander and Morgan Rielly. Matthew Knies would then give the Leafs a 2-1 lead with 1 minute and 47 seconds to go, assisted by, 1 minute 37 seconds to go, assisted by Marner and Giordano, an even strength goal, his 5th of the season. So it was 2-1 heading into the second period. There were no goals to report in the second, so we'd have to jump all the way to the third to figure out the rest of the scoring. Morgan Rielly would then get his 3rd goal of the season, 4 minutes and 22 seconds into that frame, an even strength goal from Matthews and Marner. Middleton would then decrease the lead to 3-2, getting his 3rd goal of the season, 6 minutes and 10 seconds into that frame, an even strength goal from Foligno and Eriksson Ek. And Matt Zuccarello would tie things up 8 minutes and 42 seconds into that third period, assisted by Faber and Broden. So the game would go to overtime, and how fitting that the game was in Sweden, and William Nylander would get the game-winning goal, obviously being from Sweden, assisted by Morgan Rielly, his 12th goal of the season. And that would happen 3 minutes and 9 seconds into that overtime frame. So with that, the Leafs are now sitting at 10-5-2, and with the loss, the Minnesota Wild are now 3 games below 500, sitting at 5-8-4. Our next matchup takes place in Philadelphia, where we have the host team in the Flyers, and they were taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the final score on this one would be 5-2 in favor of the Flyers. Take a look at the goal scoring summary. So Farabee would get his 7th goal of the season, 5 minutes and 11 seconds into the first, assisted by Paling and Cam York, an even strength goal. Texier would then get his 4th goal of the season to tie things up, just under 5 minutes to go in that frame, assisted by Corrali and Oliver. So it's all tied up with 1 heading into the second period. Brink would then get his 4th goal of the season for the Flyers, 1 minute and 11 seconds into that second period, a power play goal from Walker and Farabee. Paling would then get his 2nd goal of the year for the Flyers, a shorthanded goal, 6 minutes and 41 seconds into that frame. And then Boone Jenner would then decrease the lead to 3-2, getting his 8th goal of the season, assisted by Provorov with just over 2 minutes to go in that frame. So it was 3-2 in favor of the Flyers after 2. Konechny would then add on to the lead, 4-2, 11th goal of the season from Belpedio, 12 minutes and 40 seconds into that frame. And then Cam York would then get his 2nd goal of the game, 2nd goal of the season, assisted by Ryan Paling with 2.5 minutes to go in the game. So with the victory, the Flyers are now 3 games above 500, sitting at 10-7-1. And with the loss, the Blue Jackets are now 7 games below 500, sitting at 4-11-4. The next matchup, I believe, takes place in Pittsburgh, where we have the host team in the Penguins, and they were taking on the Vegas Golden Knights. Okay. So the final score on this one will be 3-0 in favor of the Penguins, getting the shutout over one of the better teams in the NHL. So Ryan Graves will get his first goal of the season for the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2 minutes and 13 seconds into that frame, assisted by Zohorna and Drew O'Connor. In the second, Noel Acciari would then get his first goal as a member of the Pittsburgh Penguins, assisted by Matt Nieto, 11 minutes and 39 seconds into that frame, an even strength goal. And then you have to jump all the way to the third, where Evgeny Malkin would then increase the lead to 3-0, his 9th goal of the season, assisted by Jay Gensel and Chris Letang, with 1 minute and 18 seconds to go in the period. So with the victory, the Penguins are now 1 game above 500, sitting at 9-8-0. And despite losing 2 games in a row, the Golden Knights are still 13-4-2 on the season. 2 more games to cover. I'll see if I can do that in about 2 minutes. So the next matchup takes place in Chicago, where we have the host team and the Blackhawks, and they were taking on the Buffalo Sabres. Okay, so final score on this one would be 3-2 in favor of the Sabres. Rasmus Dahlin would get his 4th goal of the season, 4 minutes and 53 seconds into the first, an even strength goal from Benson and Peterko, so it's 1-0 in favor of the Sabres after 1. Radish would then tie things up 3 minutes and 28 seconds into the second period, his 3rd goal of the season, and even strength, 1 at that, assisted by Kurashev and Nick Foligno. Jeff Skinner would then get his 8th goal of the year on a power play, 10 minutes and 55 seconds into that period, assisted by Dahlin and Peterka. Kurashev would then tie things up with 2.5 minutes to go, his 4th goal of the season, assisted by Bedard and Reichel. So it was all tied up at 2 heading into the 3rd period. Eric Johnson would get his 2nd goal of the season for the Buffalo Sabres, 10.5 minutes into that frame, and that would end up being the game-winning goal, an even strength goal from Middlestat and Dahlin. So with the victory, the Sabres are now 1 game below 500 at 8-9-1, and with the loss, the Blackhawks are now 6 games below 500, sitting at 5-11-0. And our last matchup takes place in Anaheim, where we have the host team in the St. Louis Blues, and they were taking on the Anaheim Ducks. See if I can get this game quickly reviewed before this shuts off. Okay, I got about 30 seconds. Let's go. 3-1 will be the final for the Blues over the Ducks. Oh my gosh, got less than 30 seconds. Neighbors' 4th goal of the season, 9 minutes 25 seconds into the first. Wishnevich, 6th goal of the season. For 3.5 minutes to go, a power play goal, 6th of the season, assisted by Kyrou and Perunovich. In the second period, Torpasenko would get his 3rd goal of the season, even strength goal, 5 minutes 39 seconds into that frame, assisted by Falk and Hayes. McTavish would then put the Ducks on the board, 8th goal of the season, assisted by Killorn and Jones. So the Ducks are now 9-9-0, and the Blues are 9-7-1. Take care.